Let's get into it, boys. And we, of course, are going to start at the top of the card where we have Jonathan the General Haggerty, who is coming up against the kicking machine, Superlek.
Mm.
Jonathan Haggerty, of course, coming into this fight with a 7-2 Muay Thai record, 1-0 as a kickboxer. He's on a 6-fight win streak. Last time out, Felipe Lobo, where he won by TKO in the third round. Superlek 10-0 in Muay Thai, 4-1 kickboxing. Is on a 10-fight win streak, and his last fight against Kong Thorani So Somai. Of course, the well-known fighter there. So I'm gonna, of course, take it to the experts now, and we'll begin with One Championship's number one fan. It's, of course, Brother Gaia. How do you see this playing out?
Well done, well done. AD, before we continue, I just want to add to a little bit of the introduction there. The fight is at 2 a.m. South African time, and it is taking place this Saturday on the 8th of September. So yeah, in this fight, AD, I am super amped because this is the top of the food chain when it comes to the One Championship. There's no one really any better than these two gentlemen that will be taking place in headline in the Denver card. Also, by the way, it's the One Championship second US fight card, so that you can expect it to be sold out really quickly. How do I see this fight playing out? It's very interesting because I almost want to place Superlek as like the ultimate blueprint for Muay Thai and kickboxing. However, Jonathan Haggerty is the one that's undefeated in kickboxing, although he only had the one fight against Lobo. The two styles are very different. I think Jonathan Haggerty is a lot more um, got more of a higher volume output, and that's landing 38 obviously significant strikes in total since he's been in the One Championship, and also having an output of 4 strikes per minute in almost every of his fights. So you can guarantee that he's going to look to throw a lot of his combos, his elbows, and utilize almost every part of the Muay Thai, 8 out of 8 limbs. However, Agadi has fought Rodtang twice, and I know it was at flyweight, but he lost both those fights a little bit. One would argue that the losses has gone down to somewhat of his conditioning because of having to make that weight at flyweight. Now being at bantamweight, I think Agadi's filled himself out really well. He's packed on the right amount of muscle mass. But again, he's lost to Rodtang twice, whereas Superlek has beaten Rodtang in not necessarily Superlek's last fight, but one of his most recent bouts, he took on Rodtang and beat him. Yes, Superlek came in a bit of overweight in that fight, which is quite interesting because in this fight, this is at bantamweight. Superlek is going up a weight class from flyweight, and which is what I think is going to be the thing that's going to be Superlek's most dangerous opponent is his actual weight cut. I think he might have the tools to beat Haggerty because I do think he's very elusive. He is labeled as the kicking machine, and he don't get that name for nothing. Superlek beating a lot of good fighters. You mentioned Ko Thongwani in his last outing, and Thongwani was a heavy up and coming fighter. Also, Lupini Muay Thai Championship, Lupini champion before, and Superlek has beaten him. Beaten Takeru. If you haven't seen the Takeru fight, go watch the Takeru fight. Absolutely threaded that man's legs. Again, I said he beat Rodtang fighters like Daniel Williams, who are also very, very high ranked, high sort of big stapled names in the Muay Thai division or Muay Thai sport. One thing I will add to Jonathan Haggerty, he is the 2-sport champion currently, so he's defending both titles in 2 sports, that's kickboxing and Muay Thai. In a nutshell, how do I see this fight play out? I know I said in the beginning I'm going to go with the Superlek, which this is the first time I'm actually going to be going against Jonathan Haggerty here. I think Superlek might just have a little bit more to offer, even though Haggerty is the more volume output fighter. Just think that Superlek might come in with a little bit more power into his strikes. And he's very creative, the way he sets up his kicks. It's not like one kick thrown at a time. He's very, very creative. And one thing he did mention is my last point here. One thing he did mention in his fight, his last fight against Kong Thawani, was that he utilized the kick that he learned from Takeru. Now, Jade, I'm not sure if you can remember that fight where Superlek took on Takeru, and then there was a moment in the fight where Superlek just like almost got shut down, like just we can remember there was a moment in the fight where he just threw his hands down. He looked like he was completely
Yeah, yeah,
gassed.
yeah,
So what had happened there
yeah.
in that instance was that Takiro threw a particular deep kick that Superlek has never seen before, and that kind of like took the wind out of his sails. And then Superlek utilized that exact deep kick in the Kong Thorani, which was which was one of the key things that utilized or got him the victory in that fight. And the deep kick comes from it's almost like a roundhouse. So instead of the traditional pushing forward kind of tip kicks, he comes from a roundhouse and then throws the balls of the feet into your ribs. Beautiful, beautiful tip kick, almost like just taking away your gas tank completely. And yeah, I think that's maybe something very importantly used in this fight, considering that Haggerty is a taller fighter as well.
So you're going with Superlek.
Yeah, going with Superlek in this one.
How do you think he gets it done? You think he's going to finish him or decision?
You see, if this was at flyweight, I'd say Superlek win by win by finish, probably TKO or a three knockdown. But because they're fighting at bantamweight, and this is the weight where Haggerty has filled out really well, his conditioning is absolutely insane. But he still has taken damage. If you look at his fight against Lobo in the previous outing, he got knocked down in that fight. But then Lobo is also quite a big bantamweight. Um, so I don't think Superlek puts Jonathan Haggerty away, but I do see him winning the fight over 5 rounds.
All right. Okay, so brother Guy going with Superlek there. Jedi, what are you saying, bro?
I think it's gonna be an interesting fight. It's also
Very even.
rematch fight where Super League has won the first one, but that was at the flyweight. I think
Superlek.
Haggerty obviously wants revenge. Um,
No,
the
no.
common
Superlek.
opponent they have is Rotang, obviously, and before Super League really kind of came onto the scene, Rotang and Haggerty was like the best guys in the Muay Thai and
Yeah.
kickboxing. And yeah, Rotang beat Haggerty twice on decision.
Mhm.
But I feel almost like, you know, it was such a close fight, you can't really pick between them for me. But yeah, and then you have the Super League and Rotang fight where we saw our Super League easily outpowered him and muscled him and,
Mm.
just kind of control the fight and done what he wanted to do. As like Ross said, he did come in overweight, so that was a bit of a
Mm.
thing. He's always had asterisks there now. But yeah, Super League is the man when it comes to the Muay Thai and kickboxing world, right? I think I feel like Haggerty is going to surprise him in this fight. I feel like Haggerty is going to make it a much more even bout. Also, time has passed now, so he's become better, obviously,
Mm.
and he's a
Mhm.
lot bigger than what
Yeah.
he was. You know what I mean? You can see that dude is quite fold out. He's like a
Yeah.
strong, and he's taller than Super League as well. So I feel like
Mm.
he's gonna surprise Super League, bro. I'm actually
Mm.
leaning towards Haggerty 5 round
What?
just
Interesting.
because I feel like he's gonna be too big. He's gonna be too fit
Yeah.
for Super
To
League
condition
to
him.
put away. And
Mm.
I like Super League. I've watched a lot of his fights,
Yeah.
and one thing that's noticeable about him is that he fades in the last 2 rounds. He gets
Yeah.
slower,
He gets
and
very slow at the end.
of all the fights that I've seen, Haggerty, he's like he's never tired. He's either all the way in or he's not. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So I feel like this fight, he's gonna surprise us, dude. I think he wins on 5 round
Decision.
decision. Mm. Yeah.
Yo,
So the
yo.
brothers once again making a betting man's life very
Look,
difficult. They're split directly down the middle. But ladies and
look,
gentlemen, let
look.
us know in the comments what you think will happen between these two fighters. Very
Before
close to call. Yeah, brother
before you
Gaia,
move on,
please.
Adi, sorry.
No, no,
Before
no.
you
Go
move
for
on
it.
there,
Go for it. I'm in
um,
no rush whatsoever.
look, that's what I was gonna say. Which like when I did add on my one as well was that because he's pulled out and stuff, I don't see Super League necessarily finishing Jonathan Haggerty. But then it comes down to a battle of nutrition and like who's gonna actually go the 5 rounds the hardest. And Jid makes very good points that it's a toss up. basically,
Mm.
because both of
And
us are making really good
one
arguments there.
thing that I've noticed also is that the Thailand fighters struggle against the Japanese guys because the Japanese kickboxing, the
Mm.
output is much more, and
It's pretty high. Yeah,
it's like a higher pace versus the
yeah.
Muay Thai guys fight at a slower pace, but they explode into their stuff. That's why
Mm-hmm.
they don't really get
Mm-hmm.
tired, but they always like go like they'll go slow, and then when they attack, they go in hard, right?
Mm.
And going back to what Ross said, that Haggerty's output is so high, especially compared to Superlek. That's why I feel
Mm.
like he's gonna surprise this dude because the
Mm.
pace that he's gonna put on and the power that he's
Yeah,
gonna put out is gonna be
yeah.
probably the probably the best and the hardest that Superlek's ever gonna face.
Mm.
That's why I think that
Mm.
Haggerty's gonna surprise him. Also being that he's a taller guy.
He's
So it's
bigger.
gonna be
Yeah.
harder for Superlek to close the distance on him, especially if
Mm.
Haggerty's gonna be throwing deep
Mm-hmm.
kicks and all that kind of fancy
Yeah.
things.
Also, my last point before we move on there is just to correct Jedi there. That when Agadi and Rodtang fought the second time, Rodtang won TKO in the third round. I remember that body shot that
Oh, sorry.
just like folded him. Anyway, but yeah, I can see Jed's points. Then it's hard to argue against those, and it's also very hard to argue against Superlek because
Yeah.
he's super intense, bro. Super intense. And he's gotten a lot more creative with his strikes over the last 3 fights that he's had. Um, so yeah, it's a toss up. It's a toss up.
So first you
What
said
does the
Super League,
bookies
now you're
have it?
saying it's a toss up. Or you're sticking with
Well,
Super League for the result.
no, I'm still no. I'm still sticking with Super League. I mean, the comment people can decide what they think there, but it's just that close, man. And what I'm trying to say is,
Mm.
even though I'm going with Super League, I don't disagree with what Jade's saying because that's also what would make, if I were to choose Agadi, that would be the reason why I would say Agadi as well. But I'm going with Super League here.
Mm.
He's been very
Okay.
active, man. Super League has been very active in 2024. So,
Mm.
Agadi has only fought once over the last cup. If I go to his thing here, he's only fought once in 2024. It was Feb 16th of February. His last fight before that was November 3rd. And then Super League has been
That's
consistently
fine,
going.
bro.
Super League has
That's
fought
enough time.
January, twice in January, and then he fought September 2023.
Okay.
He's been more
That's
active this
all
year.
right.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, we're going to keep it moving. So obviously a very close fight there. And like I said, please let us know in the comments what your thoughts are.